All right, good morning, people of YouTube. So we are back again today with a truly fun deck profile. This is something that is very, very off meta. My wife wanted to build Bobaros. So it started off as a standard Bobaros deck, you know, where you, whatever that means, I guess, where you have the Bobamon, and whenever it dies, you get to play something like the Rosemon, and you put some control on, and you know, you do standard green things behind it, and it's kind of neat. But it didn't really work out the way we wanted, because all of the other Rosemon, we have like this one that requires a Digi-Burst. We got the one from the starter deck that has a Wind Digivolving effect. And so just the BT1 Rosemon was not enough to use Babamon's effect well. So in the EX collection, we get this Rosemon. And so whenever we get that officially released in the US, that's what we're going to gear this deck towards. But in the meantime, we came across this kind of style where we combined Rosemon with the standard OTK green, and you have this truly aggressive green package that is super unconventional, and it all stars the BT5 Rosemon. Now this card says Digi-Burst 3, you can give all of your Digi-Burst Digimon security attack +1 for the turn. So this includes your Lilas that you have on board. It includes cards like Grand Kawagamon. It includes cards like Terriermon Assistant. So we're going to go into this deck profile. And yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you guys want to see more wacky lists like this. And we'll go ahead and get right into it. So this is a Digi-Burst green deck, so the eggs will reflect that. We got 4 copies of Yoko and 1 copies of Budmon. Green needs 5 eggs because you will always play Mimi in green until basically the end of time.
Until they make something better.
I mean, in BT7 we get like the hybrid package, and you don't play rookies in that, so you won't play Mimis in that. But
weird.
Yeah, that's a different style of green.
Yeah, that's fair.
We still have Palmon, the promo Palmon that gives you jamming. Arguably the most important level 3 in the list.
This is hilarious. Especially if you Digi-Burst with the Rosemon and you have a Terriermon on board and you can give this jamming and security attack +1. It is hilarious.
Yeah, so Palmon gets some really, really nasty combos with this list, and this deck wouldn't function without 4 of it, in all honesty. We got 3 copies of Goblymon, you know, your 2-cost vanilla. Deck still uses them.
Featuring very shiny Goblymon, which was previously stated to be my card. Spoiler alert, he gave it to me.
We got 2 copies of Terriermon.
It's in the deck, guys.
Terriermon's always good this format with the memory blockers running around. 2 copies of Lala, because it gives you a recurring rookie. That's always really good. And then to round out the list, we got the 4 copies of Terriermon Assistant, because it itself is a Digi-Burst Digimon, and it does add consistency to the deck.
Yup.
Plus, you can Digi-Burst your egg away with this card, go on top of this with a full Rosemon stack, and still be able to Digi-Burst 3.
Yep.
So this card just provides a lot of value for the deck. It can trigger your Yokomon. You can give this security attack +1, you know, give it jamming. You can do whatever you want with this card. This card is absolutely nuts in this list. So, that's it for the rookies.
I really considered dropping it to 3, but then I just didn't, because it's just too good.
Yeah, no.
It's just too good.
It really is. Especially in this list. Like, it's not as mandatory in other lists, but this one it kind of is.
Plus, it's Terriermon. I mean, he's adorable.
For the level 4s, we got 4 Weedmon. This is a staple in Digi-Burst green because of its inheritable effect, but also because its just cheap stat line is bonkers.
Great card.
2 copies of Veggie to give you more 1-cost Evos and some more offensive cards. Like, you can have this on board with the Rose, which is very, very likely to happen. And you can Digi-Burst off with Yoko and give either this jamming with the Palmon and the Rose +2000, or vice versa. And it's always a good time. This card beats over other level 4s too, which is nuts. We also got 2 copies of Arbormon for Arbor for Game. Arbor for Game is good, as anybody that has played against any Bond matchup can attest to. We got a Woodmon because this is honestly a better blocker, this format, than other blockers. Like, this Kabuterimon, but we value the 1 cost to Evo, so we are still playing 2 copies of the Kabuterimon.
Yeah.
So, that's it for the level 4s. On to the level 5s. Got Cherry. Gives you another blocker, and it's a cheap Evo, so that's always fun.
Got 1 Arbomon for obvious reasons.
Your standard 5 download package to get into Rosemon quickly.
Especially downloading a Blossomon, like downloading itself and then putting the BT1 Rosemon on top of it into play suspended it always feels good.
Yeah.
It always feels very good.
Yeah, this downloaders
Especially
are
against
really
like
good
a
with
bond
this.
deck, you're basically putting out like a mini horse.
And you don't give them as much memory.
Yeah.
And the other level 5 that we are playing is 3 copies of Lila. Because Lila will just always be one of the best cards that Green has in their level 5 package.
Very solid.
It suspends things. You can give it security attack plus with the Rosemon, and you can just do a lot with this card. So it does a lot for the list, and whenever you stack a BT1 Rosemon on top of it and you just swing in, and then you can suspend a blocker so that your other things can swing in, it's pretty nice. So that is it for the level 5s. On to the level 6s. We got 2 copies of the BT1 Rosemon. This card doesn't feel as good as Horse, in my opinion, but the thing about this card is that it's a lot cheaper. And whenever we get access to this new Rosemon, we're going to be playing this to drop it from our hand for free, which is always fun. But with this, it's when it's suspended and you are attacked by your opponent's Digimon, like you have to be attacked into your security, then you get to suspend one of their other Digimon. And it's really kind of fun, because if they swing in with Bond at your security, ignoring this card, then they get to resuspend their Bond, and you get to suspend it with Rosemon. A lot of people, whenever this card comes into play, will immediately just put all pressure on trying to get rid of this, which will let you do whatever else you want in your raising area. So this card is amazing, and it puts on an immense amount of pressure, and I do absolutely love it. Again, it doesn't feel as good as the Horse, but for what this deck is trying to do, it really does.
The 3 cost Evo feels really good.
Yeah.
And again, it combos so well with the downloaders. Like, it just...
Yeah, it really does.
It feels very good.
So the main star of the show is the BT5 Rosemon. Again, it gives everything that with Digi-Burst on your side of the field, security attack +1, including itself. So it triggers all of your cards like Yoko, Palmon, and then just gives you massive offensive swings. You can also combine it with the last level 6 of the deck, the Grand Kawagamon. So there have been times where she's mimied out a stack against me, downloaded, and then dropped a Grand Kawaga, and then Digi-Burst 2, give this +2, and then use this effect, and just swung in for like 4 security, and then followed it up with something like a Chaosmon, and then just win the game. And it's absolutely hilarious. So these I kind of want to make room for more of the big bug.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I had room for more of it.
Yeah, and if I was taking this to a tournament, like if I was taking this to locals or something, I personally would play more bug, and I would cut down on this a little bit. But I know you really like this card.
I love BT1 Rosemons.
Yeah, this
card. And I always have.
And it puts in work, so.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, that's it for the level 6s. The one level 7 we have is Chaosmon. And it just feels good. A lot of times you're putting an immense amount of pressure on, and you can just suspend your opponent's board with things like the Rosemon and the Lila. And then if you see the Chaosmon, it's just extra, and it's super nice. If you don't see Chaosmon, it's fine, because you have plenty of offense anyway. For the options, we got Hidden Potential, because it's green.
Because obviously, yeah.
We got 2 copies of Green Memory Boost. because this card adds a tremendous amount of consistency to the list, and gaining extra memory in clutch situations is always fun. And next, we have 2 copies of Wisselen. Now,
love Wisselen.
This card, I was kind of telling her, I tested this in BT5 whenever it came out with Raffle Simon, and I thought it was alright, but I didn't really think it was that good.
It's not that good. I can't tell you how many games I have won just off of Wisselen.
Yep.
It really I don't know if you could tell, but I've got a little bit of BT1 nostalgia. I've got my mini Puppetmon over here.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, did you want to play next game or next turn? No.
And in security, it acts as a hammer spark, plus if it doesn't pass memory off of the 2, then, 2 more things still can't attack.
Yeah.
So that's always fun.
Yeah. So, if you don't know what this card does, do people play this?
No, they don't.
So, its main effect is up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then, if you have a Digimon with Digi-Burst in play, which in this deck you almost always do, gain 2 memory. So, it turns it into a 4-cost, basically.
There are times when she's just mimied out a Terriermon assistant. Used Terriermon's assistant effect to get herself another card in hand, and then dropped Wisselen to stall me for a turn.
Yeah.
It's
hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, no, this is one of those decks that you can get away playing a card like this in. Most green decks typically don't play options aside from the memory boost and the HPD, but this is one to consider if you're playing if you want to have a bit of fun with some Rosemon.
We had it sitting at 1 for a while, but it just every time it's in your hand, you're like, ooh, this would be a good time to play Wisselen. So it was like, you know what? It's putting in so much work, it deserves to be.
She kept winning off of Wisselen.
We'll bump up the Wisselen.
She kept
I've not regretted it.
I was playing Bond against her multiple times, and she stunned my entire board and forced me to use all of my tamers to turn into Lobos.
Not once have I ever had a Wisselen bricking in my hand. Not once.
This card gives me war flashbacks. I haven't even been to war, but I can imagine what it's like after hitting this.
We are big fans of Wisselen.
But, and the last card of the deck is 3 copies of Mimi, because it's green, and playing 3 of this card almost feels mandatory now.
Yeah.
It kind of felt mandatory in BT5, but now it absolutely does feel mandatory because we have cards like Arbormon, and this deck really wants to be putting on as much aggression as possible. Because just, like I said, promoting a Terriermon assistant and then giving it jamming and security attack +1, it's like Vmon on steroids.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Like, this is obviously, this is like a tier 4 deck because it doesn't have any representation. Tier lists are built off of able to win and amount of representation they have. Nobody is playing this.
Okay,
you can't argue that.
I mean, sure, but you can't argue it doesn't keep up with your Bond deck.
No, it absolutely does, and I'm flabbergasted that it does. Like, this is one of those decks that on paper just you kind of see what it's going for, but it feels a little bit underwhelming. But I highly recommend you give this list a try because it actually does do a lot of work. But yeah, you got anything else you want to say about it, honey?
Not really.
All right, well,
it's a green deck.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be playing green decks.
Yeah, she do. But yeah. And then in the EX collection, we get this Rosemon that says, when attacking, you get to suspend a Digimon, and then you get plus 1,000 for every other suspended Digimon that you get. Yeah. So you, when you drop this card off of Babamon, then you can just, start controlling their board that way. So you have these 2, and you have offensive control and defensive control, and it just works really well. And
combos really nicely with this new Lily, which says, when one of your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn as an inheritable.
So if you draw it in your standard stack, it's still really good.
We're going to be going off.
Yeah, green actually gets offensive cards in this set, and it's kind of scary because green's biggest problem was being able to put on multiple security checks in a turn. Yeah, they could build up to level 6 really quickly, but their level 6s put on some amount of control, and then for the most part were just big, beefy vanillas. and you kind of just guerrilla'd your way to victory with them. But now you get some fun combos, and I really, really like the direction that this deck is kind of going. So, yeah, that's all we have. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.